in this society we live, I can adapt. And if I made it once, I know that I can make it back. What's opinions or a fact? I've been climbing. Now what they call procrastination, I see perfect timing. It coming where we from, no, not the city, but the bottom. No hope and resolutions when you know you was the problem. I told Dre it ain't like I'm really done with lectures, so I done what's best for me. You ain't a failure for investing in your dreams. And when that day should come, I earned it all relentlessly.
Welcome to another episode of the Mentee Channel. I'm your host, G. I have another amazing guest with me today. Like, just so phenomenal, man. She's doing amazing things out in her city, out in her county, just really around the world. Like, she's just tapped in so many different things and so many different ways that she can be able to help you guys build a business. She's got a book out. She's doing just like numbers and numbers of things, so many different hats, man. This is truly Black excellence, and when women talk about empowerment, this is a woman that has empowered herself and is also empowering others in her community constantly. And so without further ado, Miss Nanette Smith.
Hello, everybody. How are you all?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are honored to have you today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you.
Yes.
And welcome to the Queendom.
Right.
Yes, welcome to the Queendom.
Yes. Definitely glad to be a part. Leader of Queendom Nation.
Yes.
And so, like, what got you to the point to where, you know, you're doing the things that you're doing? Like,
wow. It's crazy. When you come from a background of being adopted, being in foster care, you know, you just kind of want better than what the statistics have set out for you. You know, because when you come from that type of background, people automatically think that that type of life is that's what you're going to live, that you're not going to really be anything.
Right.
And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to create standards, first of all, for my family, to show them that we're not our circumstances, that we're better than that. And second of all, I just wanted to touch women that were going through some of the same things that we have been through, or that I have been through coming up.
That's awesome. And that's, I feel like that's what it's about, as far as, you know, just trying to help impact them on a level that, you know, I went through this. I want to make it easier for somebody else that might be going through those similar things. And so for you to do that, like, that's beautiful. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, our goal was to, you know, each one, reach one, teach one. You know, so if we can reach people that are going through the things that we're going through, and then we can teach them how to deal with the things that they're going through by creating other entities for them to, you know, put themselves into that are kind of gear them from their circumstances. It makes such a big difference. It really makes such a big difference.
Nice. And that is, like, fantastic. And truly, like, you've overcome so much, and you getting to the point that you are, and doing everything, like, so amazing just for your community. Like, who was your inspiration? Like, did you have mentors, or like who like helped you with this?
Believe it or not, my mother, and she just passed away in January 29th, Elvira Smith, big ups to grandma. She raised us, first of all, to the letter of the Bible, taught us that. She sat down with us and taught us so many different things that we wouldn't have gotten, you know, otherwise. She taught us respect. She taught us how to sit like a lady, how to be a lady. She actually used to have the 4-H club lady come to the house, and the lady would teach us things, you know, how to sit up in a chair, how to sit when you're at a table, how to be respectful when you talk, how to not have your elbows on the table when you're sitting there. You know, she would teach us things that were productive when we became an adult. And so, and we had this thing that we did, we called Porch Talk. We're going to be having another Queendom Nation show soon. And Porch Talk, we would sit out on the porch with her, and those were the times that she would give us knowledge and wisdom. And she was 93, and she's born in 1929, so that tell you the type of wisdom and the type of knowledge that she had.
Definitely.
And so she made sure that she instilled it in us. And what really catapulted me into doing what I'm doing is we had a murder of a child here in the city of Salisbury a couple years back, and it just rattled me the wrong way. And I just felt like she was a baby, and somebody needed to speak for her. And so that's kind of what catapulted me into doing the community stuff and doing what I was doing, because I just felt like she needed a voice, you know, and her mom needed a voice. Because going through that heartbreaking situation, I'm sure it was hard for them to correlate and to talk to people about that particular incident. And I just felt like light needed to be shedded on our community to show them that this is what happens when people's negligence spills over into a household unnecessarily.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's amazing, because truthfully, like, when things happen in the community, you know, everyone talks about, oh man, like, we gotta do something about this, y'all gotta stop this, and but nobody does anything. And I'm not gonna say nobody does, but people like yourself, they take action and they get into it, and they create opportunities to be able to change the community.
Yeah, so we created Great Women and Men United Incorporated. And what we started doing with that is we just started creating an entity that children could just come out and be themselves. I didn't want to be like a dictator or nothing like that. I wanted to be a person that listened to children, that understood the things that they were going through, and that provided platforms that touched in on their talents and their skills and their abilities. You know, and so Great Women and Men United Incorporated, we began to do different types of events in the community. We began to do reading in the park. We took reading very seriously. We did that every year for probably about 5 or 6 years in the park every summer. We read to the kids, and you could not get a book unless we read to you. So you had to sit down and have a story read to you. Then we gave out books, we gave out gift bags, we gave out snacks. Every year we started doing Easter egg hunts, we started doing Halloween parties, we was doing Christmas parties. We did whatever we could to get these kids involved. And then we had our mentoring session, which was Queens in Training. And then we branched Kings in Training for our young kings. So.
That's just amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It's phenomenal.
And like, really, like, the amazing part about that is you brought that to them.
I did.
Because because right now I'm a leader of a big tribe, and reading is like essential, right?
Yes,
like
very much.
When my kids get home, it's still, hey, you gotta read to even earn a tablet.
That's right.
Because
it's so fundamental, because I think that, you know, a lot of times we take education for granted, and we don't really understand the seriousness behind our children being educated. It's okay for them to be on that tablet from time to time, but can they read?
Right.
Can they write?
Right.
You know, so, you know, we took education very seriously. I have a master's degree in education. So that tell you how serious I take education. I taught preschool for over 20 years. That was my first passion. So yeah, I taught preschool for 20 years, and I took education very seriously because I wanted our youth to understand that you have to have some type of education, some type, to make it in this world. You don't need a college degree all the time, but I do stress you get one because it is beneficial. But what I'm saying is, if you choose to take another route, then we want you to understand that education plays a big part in the route that you're going to take. Even when we did our entrepreneurship camp last year, I actually ran that camp because I know there are children that are not going to want to go to college. We want to provide another outlet for them so that they can financially be secure and financially stable for their future, even without a college degree.
Right.
You know, so I'm very big on education. I take it very seriously.
Definitely. I think it's so important. Like, one of the major things that I think I hear all the time is knowledge is power.
It is.
And like, I feel like it's so prevalent these days. Like, being ignorant to some of the things that's going on, and being in some of these rooms to where, because truthfully, I don't want to be in any room to where I'm the smartest, because I do want to learn.
Exactly.
However, like, I at least want to know enough to be able to have the conversations while I'm in there.
Yeah.
But it's always important to be able to still remember, like, I don't know enough to be able to say, I don't know, I can't listen to you.
That's right.
Or I can't learn from you.
That's right. One thing I can honestly say, like, growing up, my mother, like, especially when it came to Black history and things like that, because, you know, they didn't really teach us a lot of that in school. It was something that you really had to kind of learn on your own. And being the fact that she was born in 1929, which is the same year Martin Luther King was born, she really taught us Black history. And she, back then, you know, we had encyclopedias. And so she would make us open up these encyclopedias, and we had to read this stuff. You know, I asked a kid a couple weeks ago what was the Dewey Decimal System. He looked at me like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. But that goes to show you the level of how things have changed through the years. You know, how we have gone from that type of reading to, we just look at it on the tablet and go, we're not really gaining the knowledge that is self-sufficient for us to get where we need to go.
Right.
It's kind of like we're browsing, we're not really reading it. You know, and I read like a lot of my friends, they pick at me and call me a nerd, call me a professional student, you know, but I never know what type of realm I'm going to be in. And so I make it my business to educate myself in different realms. So just in case I'm in any realm, even if I don't know the whole conversation, I guarantee I'm going to know bits and pieces of it.
And that's so important. That's so important. And like one thing that you say, a professional student, like that's so key though. Because regardless in life, like my term would be lifetime learner. Because I always said I'm a college dropout who decided to sign up to be a lifetime learner.
There you go.
And like, but that's mandatory.
Which is actually the exact same thing, because in college, what you're doing, you're learning.
All day.
And whether you're learning it there to pay thousands of dollars to learn it, or whether you're learning on your own, as long as you're gaining knowledge to get where you need to go, I think it's all right. Knowledge is fundamental. It doesn't matter how we get it. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't take it for granted how we get it, because I've learned some different things in life from that I never got from a school book. Right. You know, that was very productive to my future. Yeah. So I completely get how we get knowledge, how we get understanding. We have to constantly educate ourselves out here.
And when you say that, take education for granted, like, because I feel like kids and some adults, I feel like, because we're the leaders, right? I mean, kids are the future, but we have to at least lay down that groundwork and the foundation for them to be able to understand how important education and knowledge is. And like, we're constantly talking about their sexual orientation and the things that they're thinking about socially, rather than being like, hey man, like you gotta learn something. Like, I don't care if you like him, her, whatever you decide to call yourself, but you need to know something. You need to fully know about what's going on in this world and be educated.
But what is when you throw social media in it, and they're looking at what can make a quick dollar on social media? I can get this many likes and I can make money. I don't need to go to college. You know, so we have to look at it from that perspective. Like you say, it goes back to what we're teaching them. You know, if we're not teaching them that education is important, but they're learning that it's not important by watching social media all the time, that creates a different dynamic in how we're trying to teach them and what we're trying to teach them. If that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes a lot.
We have to push it into them, not so much as go get on the tablet. No, we need to sit down. Let me talk to you about slavery. Let me take you to South Carolina and let you see a plantation and let you see how slaves lived. Let me take you to the old slave mart and let you see that. Let me take you to Greensboro, to the lunch counter at the Woolworth building, and let you see what our people came from. You know, so these are the things that I think that they really need to start taking these kids out, let them see this type of stuff. You know, it gives them a different type of perspective. Even if they don't want to pick up a book, take them to a museum. Look at the education they'll get out of there without even picking up a book. You know, these are the things that they need to see. They need to understand how important it is and what people had to do to make sure that they could get educated. Because you remember at one while, especially with Black people, they couldn't even be educated because of the color of their skin. Women couldn't even be educated. That was one of the things that I talked about in my book, is that women were given a lack of education because they were taught you can't read, you can't do this, you can't do that. Their job was to solely be in the house, taking care of the kids, cooking for the husband. You know, but what happened during the wars, when their husbands were going off, and some of them would come back and some of them wouldn't, the woman had to understand how to become the breadwinner of the home. And so therefore, what did she have to do? She had to go get out, educate herself, and learn how to either run a brothel business or whatever she was doing, making dresses or whatever, what have you, just to make ends meet, because the breadwinner is not here anymore. And so I think that's a lot of times what we're taking for granted, is that we're not understanding how important the people that came before us was and the role that they played to where we could even have education. And so when people take it for granted, you know, it kind of bothers me, because I'm like, people died for this so that you guys could have a right to what my mom used to call the tree of life. You know? And so when we take it for granted, to me, it's like a slap in our ancestors' face, saying that, okay, what you did doesn't even matter, when it really does.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be where we are right now had they not done what they done. So I think we should be a little bit more appreciative.
Got to. And,
You know?
I like to say appreciate today for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, today is all we have, right? And one of the main things that I feel like that's so essential with what you do is you're constantly educating.
Yeah, I have to because especially like look at this room we're in right now.
Right.
We're sitting here having a conversation, and if I wasn't fully educated, I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk to you about the things that we're talking about right now. I would be sitting here looking crazy because you'll be looking at me like, what is she talking about? You know, so it takes having some type of knowledge within yourself and learning everything in you and around you in order to be able to even just wake up and live every day. You know, you have to know something out here. You know, education is so important, and I hope that people really take it more serious than what we've been taking it lately. You know, like I say, people fought and bled and died so that we could be where we are, and we should be just a little bit more grateful. And a little bit more honorable to those that came before us to make sure that we had this platform.
Right.
You know, because you think 70, 80 years ago, there's no way
Right.
that we'll be doing what we're doing right now.
Right.
You know.
For real, we would have to fight for it.
Pretty much. And then probably shut every entity down that we had. Like I said, when you look at people, look at Malcolm X, look at those type people, Martin Luther King, look at Rosa Parks, look at Medgar Evers, you know, look at Marcus Garvey, look at all these different people that they wanted quiet because they were knowledgeable.
Right.
And they were trying to teach the masses. And what happens to a masses that taught? They don't need the people that's keeping them in enslavement anymore once they start learning. So if you take education out, look where that leaves your people.
Right.
Back to where we just came from.
It's over. Yeah.
You know?
That was cold. That was cold.
Yeah, so we have to do better what we learn and what we teaching ourselves and what we teaching our children. We need to understand that we're gonna get old. I'm almost 50. I ain't ashamed to say it. We're gonna get old. And the things that we're instilling in these kids is what we're gonna need to be self-sufficient once we become an old age.
Right.
If these kids are not knowledgeable about how to continue the world, look where that leaves it.
It's nothing. It's a waste. Everything that we did, everything that they did, everything our ancestors did is a waste.
If you're just wasting time TikToking, that means we're losing doctors. That means we're losing lawyers. That means we're losing all these efficient people that we need to create a successful future for us. They saying a lot of people don't want to work nowadays. Well, why don't they?
Right.
Why don't they want to work?
Because I feel like it's the leadership. I feel like sometimes the leadership in some of the jobs, they not empowering you to be a better worker.
Because what is it to them? It's just money for them.
Right.
It's not a future. It's a future for their family, but it ain't a future for yours.
Right.
You know, that's one reason why I teach entrepreneurship so much. Even though we're educated, I still feel like we need to pour some of that into us. Because you spend 40 hours a week going to work for somebody else to get paid a check at the end of the week that you can't even afford to spend. What kind of sense does that make?
No sense at all.
They're fighting to feed their kids. You're having to get on all these different things just to feed your children to keep going to work for somebody that pays you little or nothing.
And sometimes doesn't even respect you.
Exactly.
And so the kids that you have to go feed and the things that you're doing, it's an all involved.
So I teach people to learn something else, learn another trade or something else. So if you lose your job, you got something else that you can back up on, that you can leave your children.
Right.
We talk about generational wealth. If we're going to work for somebody else 40 hours a week, what are you really leaving your children? But guess what they're leaving their children?
Right. Everything.
Hello. I don't even have kids. And I own 3 companies. And what I'm doing is I have nieces and nephews. And so what I'm doing is I'm setting up companies for them. So when I get to a certain age and I feel like that they're ready to take on the responsibility of these companies, I will teach them how to run these companies. And then if they get to a point to where this is what they want to do full time, where they don't want to go to work for anybody, they have the right to do that. The companies will be set up where they can take on it full time and quit their job.
That's love.
And I don't even have kids, but this is what I did for somebody else's children because I understand the importance of it.
Right, and it's very vital.
It's very important. It's very important. If we're teaching them to go to work for 40 hours a week for somebody else, then we need to be teaching them how to do 40 hours a week for themselves as well.
Right.
Exactly, because ain't no need in us keep making other people rich while we sitting around poor, and we can't even go to the same places or dine in the same restaurants or shop at the same places or go to the same schools that these people that we're making rich go to. Now, what's the dynamic in that?
It's no point to set your family up to go through the same struggles and the same burdens that you already went through.
Hello.
Because we've already went through that.
Been there, done
What's
that.
the point of keep repeat? I know they say history repeats itself, but why does it have to be that way? If you get a new day each day,
That's right.
like you can create a new path and a new outcome.
That's
if we knew it didn't work before, why not do
Let's
something
try
different?
something different. Let's go. I am breaking generational curses.
Yes, you
We are branching out entrepreneurs. My brother just started his own company, ACT Transportation. We are doing very well with that company. We have secured a major contract with that company. So he also has his own business. He also just became an author. So we're trying to break generational curses in our family as well to create something different for our children that come behind us.
Family full of authors in life and in actual books as well. Like this is amazing. This is amazing. And so like what made you like actually say, all right, well of course your experience, but what made you say you want to start writing books and just really teach in that aspect?
Well, writing has always been a number one passion of mine. It's one talent that I don't really show the world a lot.
Right.
But it's one thing I love to do. I love to write. And what made me actually write a book is because during the pandemic, a lot of young women came to me, and I started businesses for a lot of young women, single women and young women with children. And a lot of them wanted to start businesses but didn't really know like the fundamental of getting to that point. Well, how do I get my mindset right? How do I do this? And how do I do that? Well, how do I break through these barriers? And I got to thinking, well, if I'm setting up businesses for these women and I'm mentoring them while I'm setting these businesses up, let me write a platform for them just to take home with them, and they can use it for themselves without having to always come to a sit down to get that knowledge. So I wrote the book for young women that are looking to become entrepreneurs, but that don't know how to get through the barriers of getting to that point of saying, okay, today is the day. I'm going to start this business today. How do I mentally do that? Because we can say all day that we want to start a business, but if you're not mentally ready to do that, it creates a whole nother stamina.
Right.
And so I wanted the book to mentally prepare them to become entrepreneurs. Yeah.
And see, and that's one thing I said when I first started the podcast. Like I said, a lot of people are talking about mindset. You spoke about a few different topics as far as knowledge and as well as mindset, and just being properly equipped. Like that mental space though, because once you jump out here and you do it, it's different from I gotta go to work at 9 o'clock. I get off at 3. I gotta go to work at 9 o'clock. I still might not even be paid for some of the work that I'm doing. But I gotta do this until the job is done. But I'm up and I'm working, and no matter what, I gotta do this because I don't have. When you first start out, I don't have an employee.
That's right.
I don't have somebody else to do this. I'm doing it all.
And entrepreneurship is not something that you have to do. It's something that you want to do. You know, when you work a 9 to 5, you have to get up at a certain time in the morning to be at that job at a certain time. With an entrepreneurship, you have to have that mindset. Okay, I don't have to be at work at 9 o'clock, but I need to be up in the morning and I need to start my day early so I can get my business going where it needs to go. And I need to think fresh early in the morning. Let's go. The same way I can get up and go to work for Peter and Paul is the same way I need to get up and come work for myself. And that's one of the things that I wanted them to understand, that type of mindset. Not saying, okay, well, I'm running this business, but I ain't going to do it till tonight. Now you done missed a whole day of where you could have put productive things into your business, but you're off doing something else. See, that's what we mean by being mentally ready. You know, and it's not just financially ready, because we can have all the money in the world to start a business, but if you're still not mentally ready to take those risks, if you're not mentally ready to have those late nights and those early mornings, if you're not mentally ready to give up almost all your time to be in business meetings, to connect with people, to network, to market, to brand, to do all of these things, to push yourself out there, there is really no need in even doing this to yourself. You know, and so people used to tell me, do you ever sleep? And I'm like, I want to sleep, but sometimes my mind just be racing so much. But see, that's the mind of an entrepreneur. You know, the mind of an entrepreneur is we're constantly in our head. We're constantly doing different things to make sure that our business gets where it needs to go. Because what we know is that if we don't run the business, it ain't gonna run. Right. And so we have to get up every day, just like we going to work to help those people run their business, Walmart, Marshalls, Food Lion, all these different places. We have to do that same thing in our own company. We have to get up. We have to have those board meetings. We have to talk to the people on our team. You know, we have to encourage the people on our team, because if you want somebody to work for you, you better be encouraging them to work for you. Right, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Even those times when the business is down and you don't have no money and ain't nothing coming into the company, because there are all those times. Right. You have to be mentally prepared to handle that situation, you know, and have a backup plan. Not just to say, okay, we're not making no money, I give up. Right. You know, you can't give up. You started a company. You can give up. But look where that leaves you. First of all, as an entrepreneur, as a person. Right. Look where that leaves you. Shattered. You're giving up on your own self before you even got out the gate good. Right. This is what I mean by being mentally ready to become an entrepreneur. Because this ain't like getting up, going to work till 9 to 5. You know? Right. This is a 24-hour-a-day thing that you deal with being an entrepreneur. When you go to work to a 9 to 5, that's 8 hours that you got to mentally ready, or 12, or whatever your shift is. And then you go home and you ain't got to think about that no more. At all. Yeah. Leave work at work. Leave work at work. Yeah, they say that all the time. But when you're an entrepreneur, ain't no leaving work at work. Right, work is wherever I'm at. Like, shoot, like, can I plug up over here? That's I gotta charge my computer. I need to go send this email. I gotta do. There's so many different things. I gotta finish writing this proposal. That's so many different things that goes into it. And like, truthfully, like, getting into this water is different, because when they say deep, as far as like you gotta really pour out the most in yourself, but you gotta keep pouring into yourself. That's right. That way you don't dry up as a vessel, because you're a weapon. That's like right. You gotta be able to do all of that and still be a human being. Right. Like, you might be a parent, you might be a student, you might be you gotta balance anybody. It out. You gotta just find that balance and find that peace and find that groove, because once you find that sweet spot, then it'll be sweet. Yeah. But until then, you got to work it. You gotta work it. You gotta mentally work it. You gotta physically work it. You gotta financially work it. You gotta work it. You gotta work it, honey. Let me tell you, you got to work it. Point blank. I mean, ain't no stopping, especially if you're trying to be successful, if you're trying to be a multi-million-dollar company. You know, it really ain't no stopping. Yeah, and then once you become that multi-million-dollar company, it still ain't no stopping, because even though you've reached over that hump, you still gotta keep it going. Right. You know, ain't no stopping. You know, you gotta keep it going if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, and that's just how it works. For those of you trying to be an entrepreneur. But if you want my book, it's Women in Entrepreneurship: How Do We Beat the Odds? We'll have it on sale in 3 weeks. We're taking pre-orders right now. Chariel Cash App. So if you guys want the book, please reach out to me. I'm Annette Numi Smith on Facebook. I'm Chariel on Instagram. That's CHARIELDYE on Instagram. Thank y'all. Definitely. And you definitely need to go get a copy ASAP. Facts. ASAP, because these books are gonna sell out. Because these we all need it. For one, like, even if you're a man, you still need to read the book, because for one, you might need to figure out how you need to support your lady at this, or you need to figure out, you know, how to even take some of this game for yourself. Because I mean, you might need this help too. So, especially if you're living with a female entrepreneur, right? This really tells you, you know, how to help your lady mentally. We also have a chapter in there. It's called Men as Business Allies. So it also teaches you as a man how to be a business ally for that female in your life. You know, how can you help her as a businessman? So it's a great chapter. It's a 10-chapter book. you guys will really, really love the book. It's so empowering. It empowered me. Like, I went back and I read the book and I was like, wow, I'm empowered by my own words. but it's just amazing. That kind of book. You know, it's really that kind of book. It's a very empowering, engaging book. You're going to love it, guys. I'm telling you.
Man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to do this interview and get this game and be able to bring this to you all early because, man, you got the opportunity to go ahead and pre-order and be able to have this firsthand, because we all need this game. We all need this game. Right. And so I'm definitely grateful that you are, bringing this to the community and everything that you do. And so, just because one thing that I do, I love tapping in with you and learning from you.
Thank you.
And just every time that we speak, you're just always so knowledgeable. And I'm very appreciative. And so
I read a lot.
Right, hey.
Yes, I read a lot.
Go get that book.
But yeah, before we, I don't know if you're ready to go. Before we go, I want to talk about what we got on today.
Okay.
So I am the 2022 National Classic Miss Regal Elegance. I don't know if anybody know about it, but the Miss Regal Elegance National Pageant is an amazing pageant system. They don't care what color you are, what size you are. They believe in magnificent women doing powerful things in their community and touching lives. So if anybody is looking into getting into a pageant system, I suggest the Regal Elegance pageant system. It is super amazing. They are the Regal Elegance National Pageant on Facebook. Lametria Johnson is the director of the pageant. She's a faith-based woman. So amazing. She gives us everything in this pageant system. She teaches you, how to love yourself, how to tap into your talents, how to tap into everything you have, how to share those gifts with other people, and how to not be afraid of it. But if anybody want to join our pageant system, we would love to have you. Our nationals will be in New Orleans this year. So I will be handing down my national title in August of this year, but I believe we'll come back in either October, November, and we'll do North Carolina, South Carolina preliminaries. So if there's any lady out there, I'm talking from the age, I think of 17 on up, and we even have a senior division. So you could be 60 and up and still be in this pageant. Anybody that want to join this pageant system, please let me know. We would love to have you. I'm also the host of the Queendom Nation show on the Worldwide Radio.
Yes,
we air every Wednesday at 6:30 on the TuneIn app. If you check me out, Manette Numi Smith on Facebook, you can find a link. We would love to have you tune into us on there. So
definitely. And truthfully, to go over everything that you do, we'll need 2 or 3 episodes.
Facts.
But I'm definitely grateful that you came through.
I'm glad to be here.
Cause that's what got me stuck for a quick second. I was like, man, she does so much. I want to make sure we get everything in there. And so I'm glad you actually went into that, because I was like, man, I want to make sure we get everything in there. But definitely, I want to show my gratitude.
Thank you.
And it's 2 questions I got for you. One thing. What would you say is some of the essentials for people that are starting to get into business? What's some things that you think are mandatory for them?
One thing that's mandatory: stay focused. Don't let nothing deter you off your track. Because the devil comes to kill and destroy. Especially when you're trying to do good for yourself, you're trying to do good for other people. The devil would do everything he can to tear that kingdom down. Stay true to who you are. Be you. Be the authentic you. If you know that the realm you stepping in ain't you, don't even do it. I mean, just stick to being the authentic you, okay? Understand time management. Understand that there are days that you're going to need to work. There are days you're going to need to rest. Time management is so important when you're trying to become an entrepreneur. And understand those barriers that are put in place to stop you from getting where you need to go. Understand legalities, the laws, legislation, and regulations of the business that you're trying to get into. Know your competition. Know who you're dealing with out here, because there are other people that are in the same realm you in that are doing better than you are. So my question to you is this: when you're trying to become an entrepreneur, why should I buy your products, or why should I support your services?
Right.
That's it.
If
you can give me a profound explanation of why I should do these things and make it profound for me, then we can talk. And even if you looking into starting a business and you don't know where to go, I do have a company called DRJ Trinity Business Group LLC, where we do counsel you and we consult to help you start your business as well if you don't know where you're going to.
Tap Yeah, man. Tap
Facts.
in. You're so amazing, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on this platform. I'm so grateful.
I'm grateful.
And last thing, you gotta leave us with a gem. We need a gem. You done gave us a bunch, but we need one more gem before you go.
My gem for the day, we call them Queendom Quotes of the Day. The Queendom Quote of the Day is make each day your masterpiece. Mm-hmm. Each day.
That's a fact. Appreciate today.
Yes.
Appreciate today. And I'm so appreciative that you were on this platform.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You know, I definitely look forward to tapping in with you again and just continuing to just build with you. And so I'm so grateful. And you know, as always, appreciate today. Definitely.
Welcome to the Queendom. Thank y'all.
Hey, welcome to the Queendom.
Now let the beat build up. Face.